You know, in my pre-match analysis, I said that if there's one team that is built for Sundowns, and these teams are built for each other, it's Magesi. And coming into this game, it was going to be about who can suffer the most and who can do the most damage. Sundowns was expected to do the most damage, but guys, Magesi doesn't care about your tactics. Magesi doesn't care about your formations, doesn't care about your box entries. They survive. I said in my pre-match that Zeze is going to be very important to this because they don't have a good defense. They don't have a good midfield. But if there's two things that Magesi does very well, number one, it's survive. In the 2 games prior to the game that they played versus Sundowns, they faced 4 times the amounts of shots that they took. Zeze played an incredible role in this team. And the second thing that they do very well is that they don't need 7 chances. They just need 1 or 2 in order to score 1 or 2 goals. This is what I was speaking about in the pre-match preview. That you cannot underestimate this Magesi side. Magesi took advantage of a couple of things with Mamelodi Sundowns, also things that I had highlighted. Mamelodi Sundowns is not a good team in the last 30 minutes. What happens in the last 30 minutes of games is that Ukosh Mangoba makes subs that are meant to speed up the game when maybe he should be controlling it. And in that last 30 minutes, it becomes a tennis match, back and forth. And back and forth is fine if you're leading 2-3-0 and you've done your job early. But if you can hang on as a team that's fighting Sundowns up until the 60th, 65th minute, you will get your chances. That's the first one. Number 2, Sundowns is not a good aerial team. Magesi scores one of 2 ways. A counter with 3 men pressing you and then getting the ball, played wide, cross it in, far post. Sundowns doesn't face teams that play that type of football, and today we saw a Sundowns that couldn't adapt. Now let's get into the actual analysis of what happened. Sorry to interrupt the video that I'm sure you're enjoying, but I just wanted to say thank you for all of the support that you guys have shown me and my Overthinking Football platform. I'm a one-man band that's doing all of this, and I really do enjoy the comments about how, you know, Supersport needs to come fetch me and SABC and all of that stuff. And I think it speaks to the quality of the content, but also the amount of effort that I put in. So I just wanted to say thank you. But the truth is that Abu Supersport and all of those guys, yes, we're competing with them, but it's a completely different place. The sponsors are looking for former players, and to be honest with you, running some of these things is getting so difficult, and things have changed at home. So financially, it's a whole different world. So I wanted to try something new and come to the overthinkers, the people who watch the content, and say it would be incredible if you guys could contribute monthly towards the platform, towards keeping my lights on, but also making sure that all of the crazy things that I want to do, that I want to take Supersport on with, I can actually do. And just for 20 Rand every month, I think that would be an incredible contribution if you can make it. It may sound like a little, but if we can get a lot of people behind it, then we'll be able to carry on doing what I do. I'll be able to carry on giving you the content and also expanding it, because we don't have shows like this, and us content creators need help from our audiences. So I just came here to ask you if you can. Here is the account number that you guys can use in order to contribute. And I think, yeah, I'd be very grateful if you would. But anyway, let's get back to the video. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If you look at Mamelodi Sundowns, they had a couple of problems. Number 1, they were playing too wide. Ribeiro was out wide. Reyners was out wide. There was nobody in the middle that was playing. Obas was not on his game. Allender was also vacating the middle. And what Sundowns does well, And what we saw from the first goal is get the ball, counter quickly while you guys are getting back in defensive formations. Ribeiro central, he plays the ball through, somebody scores. Most likely Reyners. But if you have Shalulile as a central player, as a 9, that means that two things are happening. You're bringing more players into the space, Reyners. And you're forcing Reyners to either go further wide and not be part of the game, or you're making him drop inside. And if you've watched any Bafana games when Reyners was starting out with Bafana, part of the problem was him coming inside because he's not that good of a passer, he's not that good of a ball controller, but he has pace and a finish on him if you let him run in from the side. So what Mamelodi Sundowns really needed to do there was to bring those players to the wings. Take Shalulile and take Reyners to the side, then bring Ribeiro to the center. Because that's where he plays his football at his best. Another thing that Mamelodi Sundowns allowed was too many times that Magesi press was winning the ball up high. Whenever they got chances, they won it in areas where they could then initiate a counter-attack and win a corner and win something. And you cannot allow that against a clinical team like Magesi. This is a Magesi team that beat Pirates 3-2. It's a Magesi team that went out and in their games versus TS Galaxy and Richards Bay were not playing well. They don't need to play well. They just win the game, in the words of Coach Pitso. So there's things that Mamelodi Sundowns needs to fix. Realize what you do well. Realize that sometimes Obas and Mokwena, as incredible as they've been, sometimes they just crowd that place and Allende doesn't know where to play. Under Coach Rulani's system, what they did was they overloaded the midfield to have Allende, to have Mokwena, to have Mudiba, to have Tshwane. But what they did was everybody had a role to play. Mokwena was not a ball player. Kutsia were not necessarily ball players. They were cover for these guys when they were defending, which allowed Allende to have a free role. But if you ask Allende to also play the role of protecting the midfield, you're going to be hurt. You're going to be hurt. What Sundowns needed to do in this game was play exactly how Sundowns plays and just overwhelm that Magesi defense. But if we go on to Magesi did well in attacking during the critical phases. Come out after halftime, try as far as possible to get a goal in the first 10-15 minutes, then you can go back and relax. The 1-0 had imbalanced the game because Sundowns scored and then now Magesi needed to do something, and the longer they would need to do something, the harder it would be to get that goal. So them coming out and scoring early reset that game. And once that game was reset, they could go back to doing what they were doing. There was a point where all 11 men were behind the ball because they just needed to take the fire out of the game. Then when they needed to go forward, they pushed. Far post is where Abrams scored versus Pirates. The same blind run, or was it Makubo scored versus Pirates? The same blind run on the far side. Surely you should be ready for that. Surely you should know that that's coming if you give away your set pieces. I think Magesi just exploited the weaknesses that Sundowns has been showing for the past couple of weeks. I spoke about the last 10 minutes where Polokwane City got their win from, where Chiefs could have gotten a draw in the first game they played, where Royal AM could have gotten a draw in the first game they played, where Maruma Gallants, even though they lost 4-0, 4-1, were pushing Ronwen. Ronwen made 3 or 4 saves in that last 10 minutes. They need to figure that out. And the reason why they need to figure that out is everybody changed everything with Rulani leaving because they thought that the gameplay was the issue. But that wasn't the issue. The issue was that in the last minutes, that's where they lose it. They lost all the games that were of consequence. The finals with Pirates, the semi-finals with Bo Ahly, well, with Bo Esperance. That's where they've lost it. all the time. Their unbeaten status with Cape Town City was a last minute thing. They need to make sure that they can shore up that game in the last minute. But well done to Magesi FC. Clinton Larson wins his second of these trophies. Chipezeze wins another one of these trophies, having won it with Ibaroka previously. And Clinton Larson is still unbeaten versus Mamelodi Sundowns. I think Magesi gave us a masterclass that sometimes we think too hard and try to be too smart and too analytical and too clever, when all you really need to do is show discipline, trust your plan, and execute. You don't have to have the ball to beat teams. You don't have to have a million chances to beat teams. You don't even have to have some really complicated style of play in order to win. What they did in that game was defend as they've always defended, was trust that even if we come under pressure, we can come out and win this game. So I urge you to go and watch the pre-match preview, because guys, when we speak about these things, we're not speaking out of jealousy or malice or any of those type of things. These are the things that we have to see and we have to take note of. And if you don't take note of it, you go and lose the final. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I'll see you on the next one.